What is happening, fellow fantasy PMs? I'm JJ Wang. He's the bearded one, DJ Dub. With our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Playoffs? It's time for the playoffs. Oh man, the season is over. I can't believe the regular season is done and now it's playoff time. What are you thinking, JJ Wang?
Yeah, that's a bummer. Fantasy season always goes by so fast, but luckily for me, it was another good fantasy week. Not as many points scored. Some of the games were really bad. A lot of blowouts, but I got a lot of victories in fantasy. That's all we can ask for in the last regular season. How'd you do?
I'd rather not talk about it.
Oh, well, all right.
I had apparently I had teams with Eagles and Dolphins and Patriots and Colts. That was the story of my week. And then people that did play, I played against Dalvin Cook 3 times. I played Cook. That pretty much sealed my fate on Thursday. So I had 3 teams, and I'm like, I'm done. I played Cook against you, and I lost. So the one team where I
Yeah,
had Dalvin Cook, I
I,
lost.
I played Cook. I played against Cook twice, and I won in both leagues.
Yeah, every team I played against Cook, they just went bonkers. I played against Cam Newton. He got benched and still scored more point than my starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson. So it was pretty terrible that I lost the number one seed in our big league just from that. So I don't know what to do from this point on, but we'll carry on.
Carry
I'll
on.
tell anybody if they want to check out the Fantasy Couriers, we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Hit us up through email. We'd love some questions as we go into the off season. What do you want to hear about? What do you want us to talk about? The fantasycouriers.wixsite.com/website. It's all in the link below. Also, if you're looking for somewhere to donate for Christmas, hit up my kids' Salvation Army fundraiser. The links below. They had a fun weekend this weekend. I got to dress up as Santa. We beat the rain. It didn't really rain a lot. We had to move things up, but it ended up being a successful weekend. They're having fun with it and getting ready for a good Christmas. Hopefully, Christmas delivers us some more presents and some championships.
I hope it delivers me some championships. I could use extra Christmas money.
Yeah, I say that would be nice. Problem is, we don't get the Christmas money till like end of January.
That's true. I take out a loan and then I can pay it back. Payday loan.
Yeah. So did you? On a side note, before we get started here, did you? I had one team that didn't make the playoffs. How about you? Same thing.
I had the two teams, but I wasn't expecting to make the playoffs. I mean, it was the Bourbon Bowl and then our other Dynasty Diamonds League. So I wasn't I
Oh,
almost
you
made the
slipped
play.
out of that one.
Yeah, I lost.
He
I
Blake
lost
jumped
out on
out.
points. I finished number 7, which was way better than I thought. But yeah, they're the only two that I didn't make the playoffs in, and I didn't expect to win in either one of those anyway. So
Yeah,
it's been a good year for me.
nice. Not too, yeah, that was the one where I had to win to be in, and I ended up losing this week because I played against. Oh, let me say, what's his name? Dalvin
Oh, I
freaking
did play
Cook.
against Dalvin Cook in that league and lost, but he
Oh, he
wasn't
oh
the.
he had Najee. That's who he had. Like, yeah, I needed to win to get in, and I
But I
still
just
put up a good number.
I
But
just can't score very much. Usually, the only way I win is when the other team doesn't score very much. I usually only score about 140. They got to score really low.
yeah,
But yeah, so I mean, other than that, let's just switch over here to this to the pleasure and pain. Do the pleasures first, as always. The first guy I want to bring up here, he had a huge day. Did get injured. That's Josh Allen. You got any injury news on him?
they if I believe I saw it's
I think
it's
it was a
the old
sprained
Antonio
foot.
Gates turf toe,
Yeah, I
and
got sprained foot right here, turf toe. I don't know what the difference any of that is, but usually turf toes are pretty painful. And
yeah,
he's a running quarterback. He was running all the time yesterday. I'm
he's
surprised he
gonna
didn't get
play.
hurt more. They didn't even run the ball with their running backs. It's crazy. But like I said, he had the big day. Still number 2 quarterback overall. But just keep an eye on that. He's the reason a lot of people are winning. He's one of the reasons why I'm winning. But we'll switch over to this next quarterback here. Speaking of quarterbacks that run, that's Taysom Hill. Let me see
Ooh,
if I can find my stats here. So he was 15 for 21, 175 yards. Then he had the 11 carries for 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. So not a lot of passing here, mainly all running work. But again, that makes him a top 10 quarterback. When you play him, can you rely on him the rest of the year?
I think so, and especially anybody who might have Lamar, or maybe even if you can sneak if someone didn't have him and you got Josh Allen, but it looks Josh Allen's probably going to play, but with those stats, he's that new wave of fantasy quarterback. He's that guy you don't want really on your professional team if you're rooting for your team because you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? Is he going to throw 4 interceptions? But your fantasy team, he'll throw 4 interceptions, but you're still going to score 25 points. So it's pretty much a win getting Taysom Hill, and uh, he. I said he'd be starting this year, right?
Yeah, I mean
I
he
was a
is.
few months late,
I say
and ACL
he's
later.
only thing he does is take away from Alvin Kamara. I'll get to him in a second.
Does he
Takes
take
away a
away?
lot of
I
the
don't
goal
know.
line work. But so these next two guys are guys that I have a lot of pleasure
I
for.
put
They
him
haven't
in
played
for you.
great
I
this
put him in
year.
for you.
They haven't played great this year, but I'm relying on them on the future. And that's Davis Mills. He had 331 yards and a touchdown. I got the starting job back from Tyrod. And then we got Justin Fields, had 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did get the interception. But he also had the 74 yards rushing. One of his better games. He's played rather well the last month. I think he's only had one bad game out of the last four. So he's trending up. Davis Mills looks like a decent quarterback. Can we rely on these for possibly going into next year as QB2s?
Davis Mills, I don't think so. I think they're still like, I mean, one game does not make all-star quarterback, and they're gonna have such a good pick. I think they're still gonna pick a quarterback because they're gonna feel like they have to, regardless of what he does, I believe. I could be totally wrong. I haven't been right on a lot this year. Justin Fields, was deciding whether when we do notes from our own computers and I was like deciding whether to put him in there or not because it wasn't a spectacular day, but it was a pleasure because he's been so painful. And that's what makes him the pleasure of the week because it was Bears still lost, but he's playing better. And I think it's a progression of what we thought we would see. I don't think either of us we thought he'd be a little better this year than he really has. I mean, he still threw 2 interceptions, so that's not too pleasurable. Luckily, you don't have crazy commissioners that give like 1 point for interception and 2 points for interceptions caught. That would just be kind of crazy for him. He'd lose tons of points there. Or he doesn't play for Urban Meyer. He'd already been benched. He is thrown to a bunch of and we'll talk about that later. Like he's finding his own guys, which is killing us people that know the good receivers in Chicago. So thank you, Justin Fields.
Yeah, so much for Allen Robinson. Just jumping over to the running back. Finally got finally got a game from Rashad Penny after like 4 years. But he's showed flashes,
Flashes.
but then
Yeah.
he would get hurt. He finished with 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kudos for him. Got the return of Alvin Kamara back to his old self. He had 120 yards and a touchdown. He did have the 4 catches for additional 25 yards. Again, Taysom Hill steals a lot of that groundwork near the goal line. And then we had probably my pleasure of the week. I actually started both of these guys
No way.
in my oldest redraft league over in Cowboy Glory, going up against one of my favorite guys to go against runners. And I started both of them because it's all I had, and they both came through for me. Williams had 73 yards and a touchdown to go with 10 receiving yards and a touchdown, and Gordon with the 24 carries, 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is crazy. It's a lot of work there for both these guys to work to get both running back twos, right?
I would say so. Like it's an interesting situation. As I'm sitting there, I was like, yeah, I can't put in Gordon because I can't put in Williams. But I was like, dude, both of these guys, they just killed it. And they got you what you needed for a fantasy running back. I had Williams on mine. Williams is getting the receiving time. I mean, he only had 1 catch, but it was that nice 10-yard reception for a touchdown. Whereas it looks like Melvin Gordon's pass catching is dwindling. But I guess we'll talk about it a little bit later. Denver, they decided they don't want to throw to any of their really good receivers. They're just gonna let these two guys run their brains out. And I think they're gonna wear out Melvin Gordon, get all their money out of him, just what they can do for this year. So it's impressive to see.
I think he was getting 8 million a year, so might as well get everything you can out of him.
Overpaid,
He's a
but
running back, so get as much usage as you can and save a little wear and tear on Javante Williams if it's working. You got anything else
yeah.
for these other guys, real quick?
Rashad Penny, I've been waiting for a while. I got him in one of my dynasties, and I was like, that would have been nice to play in a. It was a league where actually I lost and still made the playoffs based upon head to head, or no, based upon division records. It was ridiculous. But he, Rashad Penny's, maybe this is his coming out party. He could be just a late bloomer. I mean, that's my hope. Because if not, Seattle's got no hope for the future whatsoever. They'll be drafting like 8 running backs this year. Alex Collins has played, but he's looked pretty bad. Pretty much anybody else. We all thought there'd be a little DJ Dallas. He's not even really been a serviceable scat back. And I was going to say with your Taysom Hill earlier, Kamara he still got his. I don't think he would. I mean, except for last year's championship game when he scored those 5 touchdowns. Uh, he still got his pretty good, and I think really the problem for him is probably going to be what goes down with Mark Ingram going forward. Is Mark Ingram going to get those goals, and then Kamara that would really dwindle him more than Taysom Hill because he still got his.
Yeah. So jumping over to the wide receivers, we're going to start with Hunter Renfro. We haven't talked about him enough this year. He's been killing it. He had 13 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. These next two guys, not top guys, but they had solid weeks. We had Odell Beckham. He had 77 yards in that short slant touchdown. Good for him. And then we had Jalen Guyton. He had 3 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. He had that long bomb, good to go along with Josh Palmer, who we'll bring up a little later. Do you think the Chargers are in good shape once their top receivers leave and these guys take over?
I mean, I don't think they're going to lose Williams. So it's going to be a matter of Guyton or Palmer. Will they step up? They've shown sporadicness, but then I guess that's what Mike Williams has shown. That Keenan Allen, they're going to have him a couple more years. He's not going anywhere. I think Williams is going to get paid too much to go somewhere else and get hurt. And I haven't seen enough to definitively say yes because they got to play this week. We talked about them last week. Like, are they going to step up? And then with Allen, I mean, I hope Allen's good. I mean, I think they said Allen should be okay to play this week. So I wish I could say something better on a podcast where we're talking about football. I don't know. I mean, they do have Herbert as a quarterback, but I could probably give a better answer in May if they don't like draft a receiver because they could be in a position to draft a Mike Williams replacement, which would because Guyton's more of a stretch the field kind of guy. Palmer looked like he took the possession role, which is Keenan Allen. So Palmer might be useless once Keenan Allen comes back.
Yeah, if they do get the job, I mean, there's plenty of yards there to go around. I don't think it really matters what receivers are there. I think what Herbert will find the opening guy. So let's jump over to just tight ends. I'll let you get on this front guy here, this top guy. I'm not going to bring up too many tight ends. There's just not enough of them. I've been a little late getting on this guy. I mean, I've never been a big fan, but I'm finally jumping ships there because he's helping me win some games right now. He actually had me beat Will Dees secure the bye week over there in another league we're in, and that's George Kittle. He had a monster game. He had 13 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown. Had one of these games a few weeks back. Then he took a little break. Now he's back. Let me hear your thoughts on Kittle.
Tell you, did I mention when I played against you, I had Dalvin Cook and George Kittle, and I still lost. Thank you, Trevor Lawrence. You stink. I think I'm back on the Mac Jones train. Trevor Lawrence, good golly, miss. But it's George Kittle. Him and Kelsey are just taking turns. Garoppolo loves him. I think his future is going to hinge on how Trey Lance passes. George Kittle's George Kittle. You got George Kittle. You got the emerging Dawson Knox. You've got Kelsey and man, what about our boy in Oakland? I don't know. Waller, if he's going to be a step up, but I think we're going to have an interesting offseason discussion on top tier tight ends because they're still the garbage, but there might be a handful more that we'll consider going forward. Kittle will probably sneak into one just based upon age bias over Kelsey. I don't know. I mean, I still would probably put Kelsey one for a redraft next year, but Kittle's healthy. That's the key to Kittle's career. Kittle's healthy.
Yeah, I just want to bring up one guy, and that's Brevin Jordan. I liked him coming into the draft. I mean, he's not getting a lot of yards, getting a couple touchdowns here lately, getting involved. So watch out for him. He might be able to sneak him in next year to be able to play him as tight end, maybe like a top 20 tight end.
I wanted to put him in. I didn't think you'd let me. And I saw him and I was very excited because he was a guy I couldn't get in any Dino leagues. I tried my darndest. I really wanted some Brevin Jordan because he's a big guy. He's got that he's sort of Pitts built, like not Pitts, but
Yeah,
and he's playing better than Pitts. So
I
who
mean, he's
knows?
one of those athletic tight ends. I don't know if he's really playing better than Pitts. He's just getting touchdowns.
Pitts is
That's the
playing terrible, so it can't
that's
be
the only
worse.
thing. But yeah, keep an eye out for Brevin Jordan. Switching over to Payne because you can't have pleasure without it. We'll go through these guys a little quick. T. Law, he had the 4 interceptions, another bad game. You got Heineke, just I don't know what he looked like. He looked awful out there. That's going to hurt one of our guys. We're going to bring up here in a second.
All of our guys coming up.
He ended up getting hurt, and I think Kyle Allen came in, brought him back. Then we got Lamar. I mean, it's not that he didn't have a good game, but he ended up getting hurt. Huntley came in. He actually played pretty well. I know you got a lot of thoughts on Lamar. I'll let you go ahead and grab that.
Yeah, these are just three devastating ones for me going through. Like, luckily, my Heineke is a backup I had, and I thought I mean, he played pretty terrible too. Like, it wasn't just that he got hurt; he wasn't looking good. I saw like a play where like we saw in one of our threads, you see Terry McLaurin just standing here. I think it was Terry McLaurin wide open, and he just totally doesn't even see him as he's got a field in between them, and there's nobody there. So he didn't look great. T Law is. I hope it's Urban Meyer. We're in a league for charity where it's based upon the Scott Fishbowl and the points are a little wonky. I got negative 13 points for Trevor Lawrence. All my other guys were fine. Negative, and he got me -1 against us in my Dalvin Cook, George Kittle, decent guys that got killed by quarterbacks league.
It was bad,
But
but
Lamar's gonna kill some people going in. I hope if you have Lamar, you have a bye week. I mean, they're saying it's a low ankle sprain, and I mean, I think he's going to be out there with like 1,000 pounds of tape on his ankle. I think he's going to pull the old Michael Jordan. We
I mean,
can.
is
I
he
was
going to
thinking
get the Austin? Is he going to get the Austin Eckler treatment? Did you see the amount of tape they were putting on his ankle yesterday?
no, is it?
But just check out the video. They put like 3 rolls on that thing. His by the time it was done, it was like the size of a basketball.
It was like Saquon thighs on his
Jesus,
ankle.
how's he even going to run like that? But yeah, quarterbacks are important. I think Lamar is really the big one there, so keep an eye out for
Yeah,
him. Switching over to the running backs, we got Chubb, 16 for what 57, something like that. Not great. I know Kareem
and
Hunt went
Hunt's
out.
hurt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt went out early. Thought he'd be a little better than that. That team's just hit or miss. Then we got Antonio Gibson. I mean, he just suffered with the rest of the football team. Heineke played bad. That ends are like 4 game win streak. And I think he only had like 2 points in fantasy. And then our weekly Zeke moment, just playing terribly. Clement got more carries than he did. He averaged like 2 yards a carry. I mean, Zeke. So I'll ask you this: is Zeke and Chubb reliable running back ones next year, or are we moving them down a little bit?
This is the year I finally bought into Chubb. I've never been a Chubb guy, and I bought in, and the way the brow, you're not going to bench either of them. Zeke will depend upon if they let Pollard walk. And if they let Pollard walk, who they draft. I don't know what's going on with Zeke. If it's like it's confusing. Like, the wheels must have fallen off really bad. So I got to figure out Bourbon Bowl. He's for sale. If I get Zeke and they're gonna be running back ones, but it'll be more name based without looking at who I would set running back one, what's coming out in the draft, because you're going to have that Najee kind of guy that you're going to throw in the top 10 who falls into the right situation. You're going to have, where do you put CMC has been an argument. I almost landed CMC in a dynasty league in a trade with my buddy. He was asking okay, and then he asked for too much. And
I mean,
just felt really bad.
after this Zeke drop off, after the CMC drop off. I mean, paying these running backs all that money might not happen anymore. I mean, 'cause it's stressful. I think they need to figure out a different plan for these running
I'd
backs.
say they
They need
could
to get
bargain
their
something
they need to
differently.
be able to get their contracts a little earlier than
Yeah,
what they
it could
do.
be built in, maybe a rookie built in for
It's but
them, or
it's
incentive based.
tough.
I've always been for that.
It would be tough just to switch it for one position. You'd have to switch it, for everything like that. But switching over to these wide receivers, these guys are really
Terrible.
bad. I think Sutton had 1 catch. I think he got a lot of money, and he hasn't
He
done
got
much either.
paid.
McLaurin had 0 catches. He ended up getting hurt with a concussion. Hopefully, he gets back. And then I threw in these 2 guys just to see how bad we both are. We're both wrong on this. We
Can't wait to
got
see who's winning this bet.
D Hop. Yeah, I think he had 2 catches. No, 5 catches. We had quite a few targets. Only had 5 catches. Not very many yards. And then Metcalf, he hasn't had a good game in like 7 weeks. The only positive out of this is I was right on D Hop not being a top 10 wide receiver, but everything else has just been wrong.
It's been bad. Like so it's I'm sitting there trying to pull up while you're talking. The Denver receivers all got paid, and they decided to start running the ball. So you pay. I mean, Judy's rookie, but then you pay Patrick. You pay Sutton. Patrick had 2 receptions for 21. Sutton had 1 for 9. It's as if Denver is the only team that's going to give a position a lot of money and then just stop using them, or they're just hoping maybe they're banking they get Deshaun Watson for 3 games next year. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, if your quarterback just isn't good enough to get it to him, I guess. I mean, it's hard. I guess.
yeah, I mean, but Teddy was getting it to him last year, so it's got to be something with the guys there because Teddy made Robbie Anderson a good player, and he's horrible this year, except when Cam Newton plays. Apparently,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, and McLaurin, I was scanning around. I told you I ended up having to grab some Christmas presents and things and watching the games. I'm like, McLaurin had 0 for 0. What? I and then I saw he got hurt. I was like, but then I saw it was in the third quarter, so he still stunk it up for 3 quarters. I don't even know what to do there. I saved my joke for a buddy that I just traded Jalen Waddle for McLaurin in a dynasty. I was going to say they both scored the same amount of points this week, so it was an even trade.
Very fair.
And yeah, D Hop, I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on to the tight ends, which actually killed me in daily fantasy. I put in a tight end that we could have talked about earlier, Mark Andrews, who went bonkers with Huntley, and I put in the guy you're going to talk about in a moment.
Yeah, this is the only one we're going to bring up. It's the only one that actually played bad that you really need, and that was Travis Kelsey. It's back-to-back 420 weeks. So not good for him. Like I said, but that offense isn't clicking like it has in the past. But it's Kelsey. You still rely on him. You know he's still going to get his. You got anything on that?
I mean, they only put up 48 points, so yeah, it was a pretty bad week to be a Chief. The Raiders were just
unless you were a Chief running back.
Yeah, that's what I wrote up here. I said for the pain, it's just the whole Raiders team.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, I think, what led to Kelsey, that Mahomes was just hitting who was there. And they just got so far ahead that it just didn't end up having to do the standard Kelsey stuff. So that's what led to, I mean, none of the guys had spectacular stats, but they put up 48. I mean, Mahomes only had 258, which is not Mahomes numbers, and the Raiders are just bad. So the whole
Mahomes
team
numbers this year.
Do what?
It's Mahomes numbers this year.
Yeah, the hater over here. Hater's gonna hate. But yeah, so it was devastating for me to take out Mark Andrews or on my team where I have tight end premium and I have Waller and Kelsey, and I traded away Kittle to end up getting Kelsey. It's not working out like it should have. But you know what time it is? Yep. It's time for the most exciting segment in fantasy football. Surefire waste of a touchdown. We're going to go to that aforementioned Raiders-Chiefs game. There is a 1-yard touchdown pass. We know it's not Travis Kelsey because he didn't do anything. It must be Tyreek Hill who almost got hurt. No. Let's go back about a decade. It's Josh Gordon with a 1-yard touchdown reception. That's definitely a
surefire way for the touchdown, but kudos to Josh Gordon.
I was gonna say the same thing. Let's stick in that game. We're sitting there. We have a start of the game. I had a team where everybody was hurt or had COVID or something, so I had to start both running backs in that game. So we have a 51-yard sprinting touchdown. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting another one. Nope. Darrell Williams getting another one. Nope. Wait. Derek Gore, the leading rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs, has a 51-yard touchdown. He did have 9 carries for 66 yards, so his other 8 were not that good. But that one is a
surefire waste of a touchdown. Of all the Chiefs to start, that would have been my last one, probably. Well, yeah. Both of those.
I think he got picked up the other week after he had that decent game when I think everybody was hurt. And some people might still have him on their benches because they just.
I got him. I still got him on a bench somewhere.
Let's go to Washington. We're sitting there with a 1-yard touchdown run. No JD McKissick, so that means Gibson is getting Jonathan Williams. That's the old Buffalo guy, right? I think so.
I have no idea who that is. I thought maybe Patterson would have gotten that touchdown.
Nope. It was Williams, and that is a
surefire waste of a touchdown. I don't even know who that guy is. I have no idea.
I believe he's the guy from Buffalo. I could be wrong. Maybe someone will correct me or tell me that I'm a genius pulling him
Isn't he
back.
a defensive line? Isn't there a guy named Jonathan Williams on
Yeah,
the defensive line too?
there is. Yeah,
Maybe it was him.
maybe it was Michael Carter. There'll be three Michael Carters on the team next year too.
Yeah.
There's just double names everywhere. This guy's making a return. I guess he still is a return because nobody's going to start him. But there was a 3 yard reception in New York for the Giants by a running back. Saquon must have got another. Elijah Penny making another comeback here. That is a
Surefire waste of a touchdown. I do know who that guy is though.
yeah, from the Jets, not from the Giants. I mean, except for this year,
Yeah.
they're both pretty bad. Okay, we talked about this. I called this one the JJ Wang special, 12-yard touchdown reception in Los Angeles for the Chargers. Well, Allen's out. It's got to be Mike Williams. Nope. Maybe Jared Cook getting one, but he did get one. Oh, maybe it's an Eckler. Nope. It's the guy who probably didn't catch as many in college, Josh Palmer. That is a
Surefire waste of a touchdown. I had a chance to start him in the Bourbon Bowl, but I went with Zach Moss. That guy killing me. Just last minute,
I almost cut him.
last minute inactive every week. I can't start him anymore, man. I can't even try. I just gotta save him on my bench or just release him and never bring him back up.
I almost cut him in the league just because I don't want to see that every week, and I'm just like, it's dynasty, dude, you stink. So let's go to Chicago. You're speaking of the receivers that no one knows. I was going to put in Jakeem Grant, my boy from Miami, up there, but he was already been here. He's been pretty decent recently. So let's go with a 54-yard touchdown bomb from Justin Fields to Allen. No, maybe it's Cole Kmet down the seat. No, could it be no? Montgomery stunk too this week, by the way. Demir Bird with a 54-yard touchdown. Isn't he from New England?
I think
At
so.
one point, I believe so. That is a definite.
Surefire waste of a touchdown. Kind of like Allen Robinson's surefire waste of a season.
Oh, kill me. I traded some stuff for him. I'm gonna throw in a real quick one here because no one started him after his terrible season. Robbie Anderson had a 5-yard touchdown, and that for sure is a
Surefire waste of a touchdown.
now this last one is a game changer. It was the highlight of the afternoon. I got back into sitting down after some time with my kid, and Tampa Bay is in the overtime game, 57-yard game winning touchdown catch. Must be Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, no Gronk, no Rashard Perry, man. What is this, 3-4 years ago when he was killing it for Tampa? It's amazing. It stinks if you're a Bills fan, and it's awesome if you own Brady, but that for everybody else is a
Surefire waste of a touchdown. Everybody eats in that offense, man.
yeah, it does. And he's gonna, I mean, I might have to pick him up. So but JJ Wang, in pickups of the week, I basically wrote check for numbskulls who dropped guys from the week 14 buys. There's sure to be someone sneaking out there, but if you're living off pickups in the playoffs, you're probably not going to go very far. But keep your eyes open. There's a couple in there. You might, I mean, Rashad Penny might be the only guy really in there people are going to look at.
I was about to say Rashad Penny might be the only guy that you have a chance to pick up, and he might be a winner, league winner here, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, there's going to be a lot of fab spent on him. Everybody's remaining fab is going to be spent this week on Rashad Penny. So
all my $0 I have left.
Hopefully, yeah, me too. Hopefully somebody can pick him up. But yeah, playoffs are here. Enjoy. This is why we play fantasy. Hope everybody wins some dollars. If you don't, sorry. See you next year. And as always, trust yourself and trust the process.